Hi everyone, welcome back to Brain Dump. I'm Kai. Today we're going to be talking about the things that we do in survival mode and learning from that. Again, per usual, I want to preface that I'm not a mental health professional and I'm just here to talk about my own personal experiences with these topics and provide insight if I can, but yeah, no, don't take any sort of medical advice from me. At my last therapy session, we were talking about the things that I did while in survival mode and how shitty I was. There are some mistakes that I still have a hard time accepting, like, damn, I did that? I did that. Why the fuck did I do that? Why? But we live and we learn. When we are in survival mode, we literally do all that we can to survive, or at least we think that we're doing all that we can to survive. Looking back on when I was in that mode and I thought I was doing all these things to help myself, but in reality, all these things that I was doing for myself were really unhealthy and just bad. And forgiving yourself is not the same as excusing your behavior. No matter how much I wish I could, there are things that I can't undo. And I have to learn from my mistakes, and I have to grow from it. There are no excuses for what you do in survival mode, and the worst thing you can do is try to excuse all of it. Like, I did this because, I only did that because, like, no. Stop trying to justify your mistakes. Own up to it. This is shit I needed to hear last year. Like, you're not perfect, Kai. There was a point where all I thought about was my past mistakes, and it was so jarring because I couldn't do anything but think about the things that I've done wrong. And forgiving myself has helped me move the fuck on and focus on being a better person now. I think I realized that I needed to make a change when my therapist sent me this quote a few months ago. It says, "When your past is in your present, you can't create a different future." Think about what's ahead and only reflect on what's important and what lessons I can take from that experience. And again, I know this shit is easier said than done. I'm not saying that is like, boom, just do that and you'll be fine. That's not, mental health isn't like that. You can't just have one thing that cures all. A ship in a harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. We aren't meant to stay in our comfort zones forever. Life is about making changes and taking those risks, and you're never going to move on unless you forgive yourself. And let me just say this to you, in case you need to hear it, and I'm assuming you do because you're still listening to this episode. Take accountability for the things that you did in survival mode, learn from it, forgive yourself, and move on. It's okay to move forward. There are so many things that I did in survival mode, fighting every day just to stay alive, that I wish I could go back and undo. Because I hurt a lot of fucking people, and of course I gotta say I'm not proud of that, but I have to forgive myself. What's done is done. When I was trying to excuse my behavior, I feel like it diminished the significance of that harm, and knowing that had an effect on other people, as well as myself. So taking accountability without those excuses forces you to face your reality and your shitty choices. You recognize you fucked up? Great, let's learn from it and move the fuck on. I feel like acknowledging that I was in survival mode at this time made things shift in my head. Like, I did that because I truly thought that I was protecting myself. We all do shit in that moment that we think is good for us, but then later you realize, wow, I was doing that all for my own selfish gain. And it's not, oh, I'm in survival mode so I can hurt all these people. Like, no, that is not the objective. Reflecting on the things that I have done in survival mode, I know for next time that I go into that mode what not to do, because I made a lot of bad choices along the way. And the thing about forgiving yourself is that you're willing to create a new life for yourself. And that's not an easy thing to do, but the action of forgiving yourself will force you to do that. It's okay to accept what you're feeling. The emotions that we experience aren't necessarily something we can control. It's how we handle those emotions and our reaction to them that is in our control. I used to have a hard time taking responsibility without blaming myself for every little thing that went wrong. But now I'm able to take responsibility for what I have done, who I have hurt, and I use those experiences to grow. Making amends is not always going to be an option. Some people are going to forever see me as the actions of the person that I was in survival mode. And that's okay. There's nothing I can do to change these people's minds if they're not willing to see me for who I am now. Forgiveness is not a one-time event. It's like healing. It's a process, and it doesn't It doesn't happen overnight. Dwelling was something that I used to do a lot. I'm about to play an audio that my therapist played for me at our last session. It's just, listen to this, listen.
I'll give you a little test. Look around this room right now and notice everything you can see that's brown, okay? Everything you can find, it's a test. Look all around, both sides of you, anything you see that's brown. People at home, look at that in your own room. What you see is brown. Okay, close your eyes.
Okay.
Tell me everything you just saw that was red. Now, obviously, you saw a lot more brown, didn't you?
Yeah.
Why? Because you're looking for it. Open your eyes. Now look for red. Look for red anywhere you can find red. Any place you can find red.
Okay.
Okay? Did you find more red this time? How come?
Because I was looking for red.
That's right. Once you develop a belief, you find what supports it. So watch this. You will find stuff that's not even there in order to be successful. I bet you saw some beige shit, called it brown just to feel successful, did you?
Right over there.
I bet you saw some things burgundy and called them red just so you could feel successful.
I factored in some of those now and later.
You see what I'm saying? If you think you're screwed up, you're messed up, you're going to find and you're going to color yourself that way. Whether you think it's true, whether you think it's not, it's going to be true for you. In other words, whatever you believe is self-evident. You reinforce what you believe. You found what you were looking for.
Whatever you believe is self-evident. You reinforce what you believe. So if you go into everyday believing, oh, I'm a shit person, I've done shitty things, so I'm going to be shitty forever, you can't possibly expect to ever get anywhere with an attitude that your growth will remain complacent. You're always growing, and sometimes you just have to look a little deeper to see that growth. I had to forgive myself for my childhood. I spent a really long time believing that the abuse, the yelling, the crying, just everything was my fault. Like, if I weren't here, none of these problems would be occurring right now. I thought the way that my dad talked to me was my fault. I thought the way that my dad called me a worthless piece of shit was my fault. And it's so mind-boggling because the people in my family will use things against me, use things that I did as a child or as a teenager to protect myself. When I was in survival mode against my dad, they look at all the things that my siblings and I have done wrong when we were literal children and then blame us for what my dad would do. And they don't even think my dad did anything wrong. Like, if you're a McAlvin and you're listening to this, which they probably are not, you should probably listen to someone else's side of the story that isn't a pathological liar. And I don't even mean that to sound hateful, but people in my family think my dad is a victim here. Like, aw, poor Greg, 2 of your kids don't talk to you. Who the fuck's fault do you think is that? He did that to himself. You think I want that kind of relationship with my dad? You think I want this dynamic? I don't. And I've tried so many times to just have a normal relationship with him, but he won't let me because he treats me like crap and he makes fun of me. He makes me feel like I'm a joke of a person, and he always has. And I'm not it's unfair to subject myself to a person that I know is going to hurt me, because he has over and over and over again. When people say shit like, oh, he's your dad, he's blood, you have to, like, no. Just because he's my dad, it doesn't give him a right to treat me like I am literal trash. And he did that for the first 18 years of my life. I'm not letting it. I'm an adult now, and I can make my own choices, and I choose not to have that in my life. I didn't have a choice when I was a child. He was my dad. But I have a choice now, and I'm choosing not to get treated like shit anymore, because I'm worth more than that. I'm sorry. That wasn't supposed to be so... I started a new medication yesterday, and my psychiatrist told me that it would make me really sleepy, and I literally slept for 18 hours today, and I'm feeling very lightheaded and dizzy, and I don't like the way that this medication is having an effect on me, but I've literally taken it for 1 day, so I have another appointment in 2 weeks, so we'll see what happens, but wow, that first fucking night, 18 hours of sleep. I have not slept for that long in a very long time. Anyway, I didn't do an episode last week because we went to Jacksonville, Florida for a little trip. It was very fun. I did a YouTube video, so if you want to go look at that. Books of the week, I have 2. One is The Genius of Women by Janice Kaplan. This one was so good. It kind of just went into women in history that have done cool boss-ass shit and never got credit for it, which is basically all the women in history, so it was just a very empowering book. second book of the week is The Psychology of Winning by Dennis Waitley. This was a very old book, and it was good. I have more than 5 songs of the week because it's been like 2 weeks. Okay. Girl I've Always Been by Olivia Rodrigo. Simple Man by Leonard Skinner. Forever With Me by Conan Gray. Love Will Get You There by Cuts and Bruises. All Falls Down by Lizzie McAlpine. Come Down Soon by Lizzie McAlpine. Slow Dance by Saint Motel. And Alley Rose by Conan Gray. Lizzie McAlpine and Conan Gray. Their new albums are so good. I love it. I love it so much. They have been on loop, on repeat. Alright, thank you for listening. Again, I'm sorry I didn't upload an episode last week, but we are back. We are back to our regularly scheduled program with weekly episodes on Sunday, or whenever I get to it. Okay. Remember that you're loved, you're valued, you're appreciated, and it's gonna be okay. Forgive yourself. And I love you, so, okay. Goodbye.